reporting live from the Diddy trial, and y'all know outside it be a bunch of chaos, child, all the time.
For the ones that you fed the alligators for. What are those? Some people like look at you and you still laughing.
Child, it's a lot going on. I'm gonna move around. But we are outside of the Diddy trial. Brenden Paul already testified, and he gave his accounts of what it was like being a personal assistant to Diddy.
This is exclusive, y'all. Okay. I only got. Hold on, wait, let me prep them. This is Bruce Almighty, Uda on Go, aka Mr. Exclusivity. Give me some exclusive right now.
All right, so a lot of my suits, because I'm a defense attorney, have the not guilty seal like this, right?
Yes.
All right, so this is where you got to remember where you came from and where you're going. All right.
Okay.
So the coordinates.
Let's get the back of this one. Oh, the coordinates. That's longitudes and latitudes.
That's Toronto. That's where I'm born.
That's on Earth.
That's where I'm born.
Oh,
I don't know what they got going on.
The whole T-dot.
And then my mother, she always used to say, she walks so I can run. So the inside are pictures of my son doing different jobs.
Oh my God, let me zoom in. Speed, let me look.
Doctor,
run so he
engineer.
could fly.
Run so he can fly.
Run so he could fly. This is exclusive. And you
They
know
got
this
a
is
lot going on.
Bruce Almighty exclusive. OOTAONGO. This is my guy, Brian Buckmeyer, ABC News exclusive. This is my guy.
They got a lot
Give me
going
the
on.
exclusive. I just showed y'all. This is my guy.
I gotta move around, child. Yeah. I gotta get in position. Get in position.
Monday, that's exclusive for me, man. It's one exclusive. We all got this exclusive.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys all of the details of the testimony right after some of the people come out. But as you can see, it's a circus outside. It's like an everyday reality show on the outside. And court just let out. So the family should be coming out. His mother and sons came a lot later than everybody else. So I believe I seen Christian, I think Justin, the mom, family, and so much more. So we're gonna get into all of the details right after they come out. Now y'all know we gotta do our fit check. Okay. Hey y'all, make sure y'all hit the like button as y'all come on in. Make sure you guys are supporting the channel and sharing the video as well. Hopefully you guys can hear me clear through all of the chaos because they got a whole lot of going on and it's crazy. So right after all of this, then I'm gonna give you guys the details. I'm gonna pull out my notepad and I'm gonna tell y'all the goings-ons that's going on. All right? So yes, okay. I'm glad y'all hear me loud and clear, loud, live, and in effect. But yeah, it's chaos out here, man. It's literally chaos. Chaotic. Hey, boo, how you doing? Hey, y'all. Let me suck the stomach in, make sure it ain't, you know. You know how we do. You gotta pop out.
She is coordinated. All right, so we got the peoples out here waiting for Miss Combs to come out.
Thank you. Oh, Terry is talking.
What's up? Listen, knockout. I love you.
We gonna get some.
I love you. Listen, you are one of the few out here. You are one of the few out here
Where's
that
Terry?
Mike got love for. Y'all make sure y'all following the baddest host in the land. Y'all support us and subscribe to her and keep on supporting her. She's been out here since day one.
Make sure y'all share the live, hit the like button.
The last person to leave. This is Miss Knockout right here. And I support her, and I back her, and I stamp her. I don't even have to stamp her. She's gonna put the work in.
Terry. Oh, Terry's walking that way. Oh, thank you. You see, we coordinated today with the mic.
And then the other Friday they had on. So only 2 days. on May 12th. Thank you, Big Mike. Okay.
Y'all, it's a zoo out here. Let me show y'all the sea of people. We outside of the Diddy trial, all right, waiting for the family to come out. Once the family comes out, I'm going to pull out my notepad and I'm going to give you guys all the details from today. Okay? All of the details that went on. And my question is, did Brenden help or hurt the case? Now, all of the assistants came forward and they gave their accounting of what it was like to work for Diddy, the tasks that they had to do, and all of those specific details. Now, his details to me sounded a lot like all of the other assistants. There was some assistants that had way more things that I felt like was bad for Diddy than him. I don't know if he was being vague, trying to hold it down, or if he just really didn't have that much to talk about. But it was real quick to me, getting him on the stand, off the stand, and he only saw a few things here and there. He said he was not a drug mule, and he said that he only handled a little bit of interaction. So we're gonna break all that down in a little bit. And so
White man got the Mr. I didn't say Mr. African Diddy. I don't even know your name. That's why I said Mr. Marvin. They said no. I got it in the jungle. But I know you guys.
all right, y'all see everybody outside doing their thing. Now, if they don't come out anytime soon, I'm going to bounce and give y'all the details because I don't got the patience to be waiting for people to come on outside now. You know, I thought they was coming right on. I'll do a little 1 2 1 2 1 2, but I got to get going because nobody got time to be waiting on these people to walk outside and into a car all day. Let's see what's going on around here.
Yeah. You know, at first when I started these polls,
We got the influencers. Armand over here making his connections and all that. Y'all see him in the flesh. We got Mims over here too, talking, making connections. All right. And then we got more folks around here. Now, the line sitters ain't out today because there is no court tomorrow. They probably come starting on Sunday. Let's just give y'all a lay of the land. All right, this is the whole vibe outside. And the family should be coming out. So I'm gonna show y'all them coming out and then I'm going to give y'all all of the details right after.
I think that the Cassie conviction, I think that
more probabilities on that.
there's a lot more there because and the difference between them, and I've said this many times and I'll keep saying it, the difference is that the key element is you need to establish that they were compelled to engage against their will in sexual activity. And for a lot of people, if you want to say that the compulsion is in the form of finances, that it's like, you know, that she feels she has to perform in order to keep her house or keep her lifestyle or whatever, people will not feel that that's compulsory. The more people I talk to, very few people are going to feel like that. And if you think about it, it's because most of us are in relationships where one person tends to be the primary financial provider, and you can't say that that now makes whatever that person does who's being taken care of, that they're being forced into doing that. It's very hard for people to accept that. Even if he convinces people to do things, right? Like that would sound bizarre or degrading. You'd be like, why would anyone do that? But when Jane comes out and she's like, he's my lover, he's my partner, you do things like this for your lover, your partner, well, that means it sounds like she's coming to that conclusion. Now, we heard the same sort of testimony from Cassie. She frequently would talk about, and the defense did a great job of highlighting how, you know, she had a lot of times, that certainly in the early part of her freak-off sessions, the early days of that she felt like, you know, it was fun, or that it was like she was doing something special or unique. The difference with Cassie, where it's more of a potential damage, potential problem for Diddy, is that you have the physical abuse there, which is not present, certainly not a constant. Maybe there was one night, which could be with Jane, but we see this pattern of physical conduct. Everyone's seen the infamous video from Intercontinental where he's dragging her by her hair. So much testimony, so much evidence that Cassie was routinely complaining about the fact that he's pulling her around by her hair. We've seen pictures of her eyes swollen up with lips just completely looking like she's been battered. That feels a lot more consistent with the way most people will say, okay, this woman was acting under that compulsion. In addition, you have the blackmail that she says he was doing, and she doesn't just say it here and now. She sent an email. It's documented. She sent an email to her mother all the way back 7 years ago, long before she's thinking about suing or anything like that. 2011 I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, 2011. Yeah, it's 14 years ago. She sends an email, hey, Mom, and also attention to the manager at the time. She's like, he's blackmailing me. He's threatening to release my sex videos.
Documented the bruising.
When the whole thing happened with Kid Cudi, when that whole incident went down, you know, and that Kid Cudi was so intimidated, and she was so intimidated that she broke off with Kid Cudi and basically said, oh my God, you know,
oops. All right, that's just some of the chatter around the courthouse of what people think about the case. What do you guys think as far as the case goes? Do you think that he is officially done, or do you think that he will walk? Now, there is mixed reviews as far as what people think will happen. As for me, I really don't know. I feel like for sure everything is clear with Cassie. After Cassie, everything else is a blur. So I really don't know. Oh, hey, somebody else got me in their camera. Yeah, so what do y'all think? What, with the charges that he has, with the evidence that they have shown, we are to the last of the witnesses. The defense starts their case next week. What do you think his fate will be? Now, he's facing life for these charges, from, you know, the trafficking to the coercion to all of the RICO and all of the things of the things. Today they were going in detail onto like the receipts, the financials, flight records, hotel records, damage that was done to the hotels, which person was flown in, and how much they were paid for the service that they were providing, and things like that. So it was a lot of things that was covered. And on this street, it is always an ambulance, always some type of fire truck happening down this street. Okay? It's a whole lot of going on. Let me move around because that's real loud. So let me move over. Let me move over here. So you don't think that, you think that they overcharged him, and you don't think that it is RICO? Ooh, shoot. My phone is falling. What charges do you think he should have had if he didn't get the right ones? Hold on, y'all. This stuff done fell off. Oh, look.
doing, you know what all,
Okay, there we go.
you know what all three of y'all doing, and people are doing exactly what you're doing. You're talking about the sex instead of talking about the material elements of the particular crime.
All right, I had to get back set up so that we can talk, but
That's what they want you to do.
Reese says, I think people really don't know what RICO is, because if you do, you wouldn't be saying wrong charges. Right. I feel like a lot of people don't really know the definition, don't really know what it entails, don't really know all of that. So it's always interesting to get everyone's point of view on what they feel is a part of RICO and if they've proven the case or not. So I'm going to go over my notes in a sec, but like I said, we're waiting for some of this to clear out, some of the people to come out. Let me see who's coming out now. What's up? What's up? What's there to do this weekend? Like, what should I be doing this weekend? I don't really know. Y'all let me know. Let me see if everybody done skedaddled. Let me see who's over here. Oh.
What's the story with consenting adults? Consenting adults can't sin.
I'm over here moving around, trying to stay in that good light. Wait, which way is the good light? Which way is the good light? Right. Shopping? I know that's right. No, the fam still hasn't come out yet. Yes, it's over today. It was a short day. Y'all are funny. Thank you.
With my sister, what's your name, sister? Oh shit, let's turn.
You don't even got it on me.
There we go. Yeah, you.
My name is Neek. Hey.
Neek, that's my partner Neek. Her YouTube channel. What's she? She's broadcast.
Yeah, verdict day is gonna be nuts, insane. I don't know if I'm gonna be here for verdict day because by then I'm gonna be needing to be home. But it definitely. Oh hey Megan, it's definitely going to be crazy. You was in the main courtroom?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. What do you think? Is it better to be here for the verdict, or is it better to be somewhere where you can use your phone?
I think it's better to be here for the verdict if you can.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you here through the week? Because they said closing's Thursday. Maybe you could see it. But I don't know. It seems like they could deliberate for a couple of days.
They could deliberate forever. I think that they're going to deliberate more than a day for sure. More than probably 2 days. So, I don't know.
In terms of just actually doing coverage though, I feel like it's better to be around your electronics. Because
so that you can put stuff out.
Yeah, but you're not nobody's finding out about it from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or probably just right outside so that you catch all the action. You staying out here until the verdict?
Right now I'm supposed to fly back Thursday, but I might change that. But I don't know. I'm not. I mean, it definitely has to be Friday. I don't want to stay in the just for
Yeah. Hey y'all, this is Megan. I'm talking to y'all. She done came outside to cover the trial. The family's taking long, but they don't come out until their car pull up. So until their car pull up, you Yeah, they got a lot to go over for jury instructions for sure. Let me show y'all the growing crowd. This is the crowd outside, y'all. They said, I love Megan Cunis. Okay. They want to know what you thought of the testimony today.
It was, I mean, it was kind of slow. It would be, you know, anticlimactic if it wasn't like building off all the other witnesses. I mean, what Brendan Paul was saying was basically a repeat of what we heard from other assistants and everything. I was a little confused by the summary witness because as somebody who's read all the transcripts, the text they were bringing in, I'm like, aren't these already in evidence? I mean, some of them we'd already heard before. A lot of them we'd already heard before. And the judge brought that up too, but the defense wasn't objecting. So I don't know. It was just kind of weird. But
It's a lot of repetitive stuff, for sure. All right, the family should be coming out. The car is here, but it's a zoo around it, so I don't know if they're going to get some order or not. I'm going to move up, and then we'll talk back to Megan. What?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Diddy can be indicted.
So here are their cars pulling up. They should be coming out.
Eric Adams can be indicted, but Diddy can't. So it is interesting to see. Yeah, leverage. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, fine.
What's she doing? She just barging through. Where she think she going?
Well, then you go that way. You go that way. But you don't come pushing nobody. That's what you don't do. That's what you don't do. That's what you don't do. Because you got the right one now, baby.
It's a lot going on. It's a whole lot of y'all wish I was out here or what? Mim, say hi to the camera.
I'm from Miami, but not for this.
Wave and say hi to the people. Hey, Sylvia. Did you get on him for not calling us back? You know they ain't playing about no cutting the line. She shoved everybody talking about, excuse me, so she could get front row seats. They've been holding down the seats over there. It's actually not that hot. Yeah, she tried to barge through so she could get in the front. But all of them been waiting there forever, so they wasn't going for that. They wasn't going for it.
Even if I stop now, everyone else wants to.
Mims, they said you look very demure. They said he looking very demure.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, there's a sketch artist.
That's one of the sketch artists walking through. They just want to be a part of the story. Okay, here come the family, y'all.
Yeah, he was involved.
They got their homies with them, little entourage today. I don't know if I'm getting it or not, y'all. Oh, here go Christian and the mama. I can't even see if I'm getting it right, y'all. But hopefully y'all see something. I got my stick raised up. Do y'all see? Hopefully y'all can. I got this thing pointed anywhere. I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you think most parents would want to hear all this stuff about baby oil and want to go and what?
All right. So y'all said nice and clear view. Okay. All right, that's good. Well, that's all the action that everybody was waiting for. I don't think nobody else coming out unless the attorneys come out this way.
I think they were going to meet with him in the courtroom until 2:30.
Huh?
I think they were going to meet with him until 2:30. I think, if I heard that.
Oh,
right,
okay.
the attorneys.
Hey, y'all. All right, so I'm about to tell y'all what happened today with my notes because I really thought that he was going to be the one to bring it on home, and I thought that the reason that they had him for last is because, and they like made it this whole grandiose thing, like he was really about to come through. Hey, he was finna come through and bring it, but I'm like, other assistants had more to say than he did to me, and they all got the same story for sure. So let me move over here where it's more quiet. I could pull out my notepad and I could basically tell y'all the goings-ons that's goings-ons. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it so much. Y'all know I like a little $1, $2, $3 holla. Y'all know that y'all could also support my Cash App, niquelaclaire. Now let me get over here where it's quiet. Wait, hold on. Ooh, that sun was. I feel like this ain't good lighting or something. Okay, this is better. Thank you so much, Bridget. I appreciate it so much. I'm gonna go get me some lunch with that. We gonna get some lunch with that. All right, so now let me pull out my notepad and go over all of. Terry, how you been? Good. You want to talk to the people? All right. So let's get into the details of today. Now, all of you guys, if you guys have been following the trial, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. I'm finna give me some soul food with that. Now, y'all bringing it up to a real good meal. But all right, so Brenden Paul was a former assistant, and the day that Diddy got jammed up when his houses got raided, he was the one that got arrested. Now, he was able to get his charges dropped, and when he got his charges dropped, they then in turn gave him immunity to testify in this trial. So I thought that he was going to have a whole lot to say because he was allegedly supposed to be the drug mule. He was the one that was supposed to be transporting for him. And he said, listen, I only fooled around with it a couple of times. I only, set up the FOs a couple of times. He wasn't really into it that much. We're going to have Terry over here. Terry is amazing. She is definitely here every day covering the trial. And she is Terry Austin. And she has been given amazing commentary every day. She is an attorney. And she breaks down the case like no other. So, Terry, what did you think about the testimony today? But before you do that, where can the people find you? Because trust me, you want to get the information from Terry because she's going to tell you the legal outlook of it, and she's going to tell you the facts, no extra BS, straight, no chaser. So where can they find you?
You are so kind. They can find me at Terry, TERRID, as in David, Austin, AUSTIN, on Twitter, on Instagram. Or just put Terry Austin in, you'll find me.
All right, so quick question. A lot of people I see on social media, they're like, where is RICO? I haven't seen the RICO. Can you explain to them what qualifies as RICO in this case?
Okay, so, there are three main charges against Sean Combs. There's the RICO, there's the sex trafficking, and there is the transportation to engage in prostitution, which, in my humble opinion, they have established. The RICO is a little harder. They have to show, the prosecution that is, that there is a criminal enterprise and that individuals, two or more, conspired to commit these criminal acts. So the prosecution is naming all of these personal assistants, they're naming the security guards, they're naming KK, Christina Coram, but they really, so far, have not established this conspiracy or that it was an enterprise. Yes, it's an enterprise, but it's an enterprise so far that we've seen that makes billions of dollars, that has Sean John as far as clothing, Bad Boy Records, and several other entities, but they haven't established that these enterprises are criminal or are committing criminal acts, or that there are two or more individuals conspiring to commit these criminal acts. So that's why I think you're hearing people say that they haven't as yet established that RICO charge.
Okay, and when you first heard the case and some of the people that they had involved, did you think that it was mainly based off of Cassie, or did you think that it was going to be this wide range of acts that combined together?
That's an excellent question. I think everybody, including myself, we were thinking that there's going to be all of these other people involved, that they made decisions, that they were behind these closed doors. And what we're seeing so far from even the prosecution witnesses is that what went on behind closed doors really was a personal matter. Even Brenden Paul, who testified today, he was a personal assistant. He said, look, he considered that Sean Combs' personal time.
Right.
And that what he did behind those closed doors was because he needed time to get away and to relax. Now, I think as far as Cassie Ventura is concerned, there's no question that March 5th, 2016 tape is very bad for the defense.
Right.
And I do think that they could establish sex trafficking as it relates to Cassie, because for sex trafficking, you have to have fraud, force, or coercion. And clearly that was during a hotel night.
Right.
And so he was forcing her to get back. And so I do think they have established that as far as she's concerned. The question is, have they established the other predicate acts for the RICO? You know, was there arson?
Right.
There's a lot of doubt there. Was there forced labor? Maybe, but they were working hard. I mean, you even heard on cross-examination today when Brian Steele cross-examined Brenden Paul. He said, look, you were what, 23 years old? This was considered the job of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so he did it willingly, and frankly, so did Sean Combs. He was working hard too, and the end result was the Love album. So I think the defense is chipping away a bit at these claims, and you know, while there's some terrible things that might have gone on behind those closed doors, was it a federal crime in the sense that, was it RICO? Was it sex trafficking? And I've already said this, but I definitely think they've established that transportation to engage in prostitution, because there were a lot of escorts they've established. They transported them to different places where they went. So I do think they have that. But those two larger crimes, I don't think they've established quite yet.
Right. And so another question. So I oftentimes hear people compare the exchange for the escorts in the reverse. And they feel as though, well, normally when a person is being trafficked, they're going to get a job and they're bringing the money back to the John. In this case, Diddy is technically the John, and he's paying them in the reverse. So what do you say to the people who feel as though it's not criminal in the sense of like a pimp, because it's like the reverse transaction?
Yes, you don't have to have a pimp who's making money per se. It really is, are you, forcing these individuals to have sex? And the individuals they're forcing would be the women, the victims.
Right.
It would be Jane, it would be Cassie, it would be Mia. And so the sex trafficking comes when you're trying to force someone to do something. And so the prostitution comes when you're just paying escorts to have sex. So it's not really looking at it in the sense that Sean Combs is going to make money. It's looking at it in the sense that they're engaging in prostitution and they're paying for sex and, criminal sexual activity. So that's all that they need to prove for that.
Right. And do you think that they proved that with Jane? Because a lot of people felt as though the charge mainly for her was the trafficking by fraud. Can you explain that, and if you feel as though it's been proven?
Okay, so fraud meaning she was promised something that she didn't get. And she certainly was looking to get some benefit out of the relationship. And so they were trying to establish on the direct case, on the prosecution's case, that Sean Combs promised her, a rose garden, and she didn't get it. And so I think the way she came across, at least to many of the people that I've spoken to, and at least the way I saw it as well, that she was in it for the benefit. And she may have loved him, and he may have loved her, but the question is, did he force her to do it? She could have walked out at any point in time, which is what the defense is establishing with that cross-examination. And she didn't have to stay. She wasn't forced. Now, she did say that there was some...
The rent that he wouldn't pay.
Yes. And so is that fraudulent? And, he did continue. He's still paying the rent up till now, apparently. And so... I think that that's going to be hard to show that she was defrauded, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. I mean, how many times are you going to keep on getting me in the same situation where you say it's going to be me and you, and then somebody comes out swinging, and it's like, yeah, let's get Don, let's get Paul, let's have a good time. It's like, are you really that naive that you don't understand this is the game? And are you playing, or is this y'all game that y'all play? Oh, I just want time with you, because they had a lot of role play going on.
Yes.
And I was surprised that the defense didn't bring that up, because I'm like, well, all of the stuff they have with her down to like, oh, you're going to wear this outfit, you're going to act like this, act like that. And it seemed like something that could have even been a role play to me.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely think that there was some role play going on. But the real question is, was it consensual? That is the bottom line. And so it does appear, based on the evidence, the emails, it's in writing, that it was consensual. Now, this is what we saw. This is our opinion. It really boils down to, what is that jury going to say?
Right. Yeah. And that's the $1 million question. And the $1 million question is, what will the verdict be? So make sure you guys go follow Terry. She is amazing. Y'all see how she broke that down just like that? Tell them one more time where to find you.
All right, you can just go Terry Austin. I'm a little older, so I don't even know how you do these things. But I think it's just what is it?
At Terry.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. I'm not that old. It's at Terry D. Austin. But if you just put Terry Austin in any of the social media.
And where can they find your videos? Because that's your Instagram, but where can they find your videos?
That's my YouTube channel, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she's on YouTube, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Make sure, if
on
you
Twitter.
want down, and on Twitter, if you want down to the letter the facts from a legal standpoint that is going to give it to you raw and real, definitely follow Terry.
And I just started my TikTok, so I have 0 followers. So follow me.
Yeah, follow her on all platforms. Thank
Have a
you
good
so
week.
much. I'll see you next week.
All right,
Bye. That is Terry Austin, you guys. She is amazing, and she is the coolest outside of just doing commentary. Like, her as a person, she is so sweet, so kind. She checks on everybody, so it's always good to check in on good people, because outside of her giving the facts, she's just an overall good person. So I really appreciate her so much. Now let's get into what was going on today. Now, like I told you guys, I was expecting a lot from Brenden, just because they made it a whole spectacle. He's the last person. He was supposed to be the mule that was transporting and doing all of the things. And like I said, it just really wasn't that. Now, if you guys don't know who Brenden is, he started out as a basketball player for Syracuse, and he's like a really tall guy. He got into Syracuse. He was able to go from that situation into working with Diddy at 23 years old. So he was able to get acquainted with Diddy as his assistant. He was able to work on the Love album, and he was his personal go-to. Now, in court today, they showed a lot of communications between Diddy, KK, him, and a guy by the name of Fahim, and they would have these transactions, and they would have these code words for illegal things. Like, if they were trying to purchase some Mary Jane, they would call it flour. Or if they were trying to purchase the hard stuff, that's really gonna get you smacked, they would label that as Gucci bags. So they would definitely have these different code words, and they were showing us the inner workings of how they would schedule the freak offs, how they would notate it in their phone, what was required to bring to the freak offs, and so much more. So I had got in a little bit late, and when I got into the courtroom, he was basically talking about who his plug was. So there was somebody by the name of Baby Girl that he would go to secure the party favors for Diddy. Now, he said that he would get them and he would put them in Puff's Gucci pouch. They showed a picture of the Gucci pouch, and they wanted to know, okay, so when are the people, like, when are the assistants handling the Gucci pouch? He said that whenever Diddy needed the pouch is when they would be handling it. Now, they also wanted to know if he was picking up any prescriptions for Diddy and what names, if he was, that the prescriptions were under. Now, each of the assistants basically testified to going to the drugstore, somebody writing a script, them picking up prescriptions, and he had the same type of story as many of them, where he would get a script, he would go to the drugstore, and he would pick up, certain prescriptions under Diddy's name or under his alias name. And I think he said even one other time he picked it up outside of using Diddy's name. Now, they wanted to know whenever he was going to purchase any type of party favors, where would he get the cash from and how would he pay for it? And he said that he would pay for all of the party favors and party enhancements, and he would get the money from a guy by the name of Fahim, and he would get the money from security personnel as well. Now, he said that he had been paying for some of these illegal party favors out of his own money, and he would have to then get reimbursed for what he put out there. So they wanted to know, okay, so how much like of a tab were you kind of accumulating? And he said that it was $4,200 alone in total that he had paid for Mary Jane, and they had that as the code word, like I said, a flower. Now, he also said that KK was like the go-to between this and things like that. Then they wanted to know, was there ever a time that Diddy witnessed him take any type of party favor? Was there ever a time that you was under the influence of the okey doke? And he said there was one time they was at Coachella and they were in the bathroom, and Diddy basically wanted to see like how good it was. Like, was this the good stuff or was this the weak stuff? Okay, and I guess they were trying out a party favor by the name of Tusi. Now, I ain't never heard of no Tusi. See, all of these type of party favors is above my knowledge, but according to the word on the curb, this Tusi is supposed to be like ketamine mixed with MDMA or something like that. And then they wanted to know, like, well, how did you feel when you took it? And he said he didn't really take a whole lot. He just wanted to, take a little bit, see what it would do. And he said that the feeling that he got was kind of euphoric, and he didn't really do enough to get like the full effect of it. But he just basically was trying to just take it, see if it was good or not. He seemed like it did enough, and that's what it was. So that's what they talked about. Now, in addition to that, then they wanted to talk about the freak-offs. Now, by the time that he was employed by Diddy, they had basically changed the name of freak-offs to Wild King Nights. So what they wanted to know was, how did he set up these Wild King Nights for Diddy? And they wanted to know what type of things were going on in these Wild King Nights. He said to his understanding, it was partying, alcohol, some hanky-panky going on, and some mood enhancer drugs happening as well. They said, did he know who Jane was? Now, if you guys remember, Jane testified last week. There was a lot of talk about Jane on the blogs, and there was a lot of uproar because somebody was, throwing shade at her and things like that. But they wanted to know who Jane was to him, like to his knowledge, in association with Diddy. And he said that Jane was one of Diddy's girlfriends, and he said that she would be a person that participated in the Wild King Nights, aka freak offs, with Diddy. Now, they wanted to know, where did these Wild King Nights take place? Now, it was T because he started to switch up his profile after Cassie's lawsuit. So before Cassie's lawsuit, they were doing them in the hotel. But after Cassie's lawsuit, the block was too hot. It was already too many damages going on to the hotel and things like that. So they basically relocated escapades to their personal residence. So they then basically went and started doing these king nights at his house and also at her house. And they would have the assistants go over there and set it up and make sure they was able to have a wild good time. And they wanted to know basically what he would bring so that he can set the mood. Now, he said some of his duties included bringing some party lights. They had to have the mood lights set. He would bring candles. He would bring the Gucci pack. He said he would bring, what else did he say he brought? Hold on one second. Hold on. Let me see so they wanted to know what all he would bring. He said that he would bring extra towels, baby oil, lights, Astroglide, and they wanted to know how many times was he in charge of setting it up. Now, somebody in the chat said Gucci pack ? Well, Gucci pack, for those who are wondering, it's like a small purse, a Gucci purse looking sack bag, where they would have all of the illegal party favors in there. And whenever he was about to turn up and, do his thing, they would provide him with the illegal party favors from the Gucci bag. So that's what I mean by, the Gucci bag, because that's where they had the party favors. But anyways, they wanted to know how many times was he in charge of setting up the hotel night or cleaning it up. Now, Diddy was getting charged a lot of money for doing damage to these hotel rooms. So what he would do was he would start to try to put in preventative measures to set it up by putting a whole bunch of sheets and towels over all of the furniture, all of the couches, because he was getting baby oil on everything, damaging everything with baby oil. One of the hotels said, listen, we done came up into this room and it looked like a towel was soaked in baby oil. It's ruined. The stuff is ruined. So what they would do would put layers and layers of sheets, layers of towels onto the furniture, and they would have this endless supply of baby oil to try to get whatever scene they was trying to create. And he said he was in charge of doing that 3 or 4 times. He would set it up, and then when it was done, he would then have to go clean it all up because he wanted to prevent as much damage as possible. So they also wanted to know if he ever had to deal with like any of the Jane stuff. And he said that there was a situation around her birthday where they came together, they did a finance meeting, and they were pretty much setting up a Wild King night, aka freak off, for Jane, where they were gonna celebrate her birthday, and they were putting all the staff on alert that it was about to be a turn up with Jane, be put on notice that this whole King night, aka freak off, was gonna go from February 8th all the way up until February 9th. They was finna get rolling, rolling, rolling from the day to the night to the next day. All right. And then so they wanted to know how he detailed his schedule, who was in charge of putting together the schedule. And he was basically saying KK, all right, was the one who they would coordinate the schedule with so that they can, do these freak offs. All right. So they wanted to know where were they taking place that he recalls. And like I said, he said after the Cassie lawsuit, they stopped doing it in hotels. But before the Cassie lawsuit, he said that they would be at hotels in LA and Miami. They wanted him to basically list which hotels that it was going on at. He said the Hermitage, the London, and he named a hotel in Miami. Then, like I said, it converted, thank you for the super chat, it converted to freak offs, aka Wild King nights at their personal residence. So one day he was setting up a king night so that Jane can get it on with their person that they was bringing in along with Diddy. And he had text messages basically telling KK, who is Diddy's right-hand woman, that Diddy, he's about to get his king night going. And he said PD is active now and he's headed to Walmart. So he was like, Diddy finna get active. All right, I'm finna get out of here. I'm finna go to Walmart. KK wanted to know, how active is Diddy? She said, like Wild King mode active or Gucci bag active. Now, Wild King active mean that he gonna be shebanging his wanky while Jane get banged by a triple decker pecker. So they wanted to know, is he in active mode of whacking the willy and watching her and looking at her do her thing? Or is he getting turned up on the party favor? So she wanted to know from what scale of active is he? Is he active on the Wild King side or is he Gucci bag active getting turned up? All right. So Paul, he replied and he said, he's in between the two. He basically said, he's somewhere in between the two or whatever. And then they wanted to know where it took place. He said that it took place at Jane's house. And basically they wanted to know who was in charge of keeping the supplies in stock because they had mountains and mountains of baby oil. So they wanted to know who was in charge to make sure they always had baby oil on deck, Astroglide on deck. And in addition to how he had a supply at his house of baby oil and it all in the cabinet, they showed us a picture today of Jane's house. Now, in her house, she had a cabinet from ceiling to the floor, basically stocked up with Astroglide and baby oil as well. So he had a supply at his house, he had a supply at her house, and it was a supply of baby oil everywhere, okay? She had a whole cabinet full of baby oil, just like he did, like I said, at his house. So it's a lot going on with the baby oil. And he said the property manager would be the one that would make sure the items stayed in stock. And they wanted to know, like, was there ever a time that you had to pay for the items out of your own money? And he said he would pay for the items and then he would get reimbursed. He said it would take him a long time to pay him his coin, but he would eventually get it later on. All right. So then they wanted to know, was there ever a time that you set up a Wild King night and you gave Diddy a large amount of cash? He said the largest amount of cash that he had to provide in the setup of the King night was $5,000. So Diddy needed $5,000 to get this King night going. And he said that he got the money from his security. They wanted to know if there was ever any supplies that ran out during the Wild King night, what was his duties and how would he get contacted to know that he needs to get certain supplies for the King Night. He said that Diddy would basically either FaceTime him or give him a voice chat to let him know it's active. We need this, that, and he would have to run and get it. They wanted to know what was his procedure and what was his protocol after Diddy's shaboink session. So after he was done whacking his wanky and seeing her get smashed with the triple-decker special, what did he then have to come in and turn and do? Now, they said that when all the action was done, he had to go put on some gloves, okay, because he said it was too much fluids around there. Now, he didn't say too much fluids, but he said, child, for sanitary reasons, I had to supply myself with some gloves first. That's number one. We got to get the gloves on, okay? So once he got his gloves on, he could get to business. So when he got to business cleaning up that room, he would get up the towels and the sheets and he would put them like in a nice pile and he would clean up the best that he could so that Diddy would not get charged with damage, okay? He said, they said you had to put on gloves. Why you had to put on gloves? He said, child, you ain't finna catch me slipping. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they did ask him like, why did he need gloves? He said, child, he needed that for sanitary reasons. All right, so, they wanted to know, was there ever a time that he saw a white powdery substance when he was cleaning up? And then he said, yeah, there was one time that he saw a powdery substance. And then they showed a picture of what the hotel night would look like. So whenever he would get done and he would set up the hotel night, he took a picture to basically show Diddy, like, I got you, like, look, and it was a picture of all of the furniture covered in sheets and towels, and everything was white sheets and towels. The bed had white sheets on it, the couches, the chairs, and everything was covered in white sheets and towels. And he took a picture, sent it to Diddy to let him know, we ready for that action, or you ready for that action. It's action ready, all right? So they showed that photo to show, how he showed Diddy that he did his job. He got everything prepped and ready, all right? So they asked him again what supplies would he bring, and he said that he would bring lights, candles, incense, baby oil, Astroglide, liquor, champagne. They wanted to know what was in the Gucci pouch. They started to ask him the same questions over and over, and he said that, it was the illegal party enhancements in the Gucci pouch. And then they wanted to know, like, whenever he was handling an illegal party favor transaction, how much money would he be spending on these illegal party favors? And he said he would spend between $100 to $500. He said, listen, these people over here talking about I'm some drug mule. I'm over here handling the small stuff, like, so he also denied being a drug mule when it was time for Brian Steele to cross-examine him. Now, my battery is going dead, so I'm going to pull out this mic. I don't know if it will go mute once I take the mic out, but I want to get through the rest of it, and I don't want the the live to cut off. So we're going to lose the mic because we got to make sure that we got a battery. So hold on one second. I got a couple more pages to tell y'all. I don't know if it's going to mess up the audio, but child, we got to get through it. Okay, got my battery pack ready. All right, so let me pull this mic out. Hopefully it don't mess us up and it just reverts to the regular mic. Okay, because baby, we got to keep it going and keep it flowing. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Okay, we good. All right, let me turn this mic off. All right, working like a champ. I know that's right. All right, so let's get through the rest. All right, so where was I at? Okay. All right. So then they wanted to get into when was the last time he worked for Diddy. Now this part was some tea because, child, they was like, okay, so when was the last time that you were working for, you said it sounds better? They said, when was the last time that you stopped working for Diddy? And he said the last date that he was working for Diddy was March 25th, 2024. So they wanted to know, where was he heading to? And he said that him, KK, and Diddy were headed to the Bahamas. And when they were leaving the Miami airport and they were going to the Bahamas, they said that was the day that he got arrested with the cocaine and the other narcotics. Now, once he went to the police station, he said that he didn't drop the dime on Diddy, and he did not tell the police that the narcotics belonged to Diddy. Okay? And then they wanted to know, well, when you got jammed up, why didn't you tell the police that the illegal party enhancers that you was caught with belonged to Diddy? And he said that he didn't say anything because of loyalty. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Y'all real disrespectful on the likes. I really don't like that, okay? I'm giving y'all the inside scoop and breaking it down right here, loud, live, and in color at the courthouse. And the least y'all could do is hit a like if you ain't gonna send a cash app or a super chat or something. Like, the like button is free. Don't do me like that. And make sure you share and tell a friend, because I'm gonna be here next week as well, giving y'all the scoop as the defense starts their case. So don't play, okay? Do not play. Now, let's continue. Oh, let's see. Can we pin the Cash App? I don't know. Let me see if I could. Hold on. I don't even see where I could type nothing. But if one of the moderators can do it, that'll be great. Let me see if I could pin this. All right. Okay, so then they wanted to know, all right, so why didn't he tell about the narcotics and the party enhancers? He said because it was out of loyalty. And then they wanted to know what happened with his charges. And this is where he got a little bit cocky, okay? Because at first he was just answering the questions, and he was just answering the questions, and he was basically like, yeah, this happened, and you know, he was kind of real dry with his answers, not really giving up too much. But then they wanted to ask him, why did his charges for having the illegal party enhancers get dropped? And he gonna say, with his little cocky tail self, he gonna say, because I got a really good lawyer and he was able to get my charges dropped. And I'm like, okay, don't get too cocky now, sir, because you are testifying in this federal trial. And you're lucky to have immunity while you up there a little too cocky. Okay. Then they wanted to know how, like, in depth did he get it dropped. He said he took a pre-trial program as a diversion to get the charges dropped. And he took about 20 drug classes, and that was a wrap. All right. And then they wanted to know, so when was the last time that you saw Diddy? And he says the last time that he saw Diddy was when he got arrested on that jet on March 25th, 2024. All right. So then in comes Brian Steele. Now, anytime Brian Steele does a cross-examination, he always butters the people up first, okay? And that's just a method that I'm noticing with him. He always starts out before he pounces, and he didn't really do like a lot of pouncing, but before he pounces, he always starts off with oh, you're a great basketball player. You were able to get into Syracuse. You were in the honors program. You were able to walk off. You had an awesome opportunity working with Diddy at 23 years old, and you're a really hard worker. Wouldn't you say you're a hard worker? You do whatever it is that you need to do, and isn't that why you were able to get into Syracuse, and isn't that why you were able to, you know, start working with Diddy and have this phenomenal opportunity at 20? So a lot of the beginning was just like yep of him just basically saying yep because he was filling his head up with accolades. And that's what I wrote. I'm like, child, Brian over here filling this man head up with accolades. We trying to get to the nitty and gritty of it all. Was he the mule or not? Okay, was he the mule or nah? You over here buttering him up. Oh, you're a hard worker. Oh, you got into Syracuse. Oh, you're a really good basketball player. Oh, you had this and da, da, da. I don't care. What's the action? Okay, is he lying for the prosecution? Do he got dirt on him? Do he got people in the basement? Was he doing stuff that we need to know about? Like, what's tea? You over here buttering him up. We ain't got time for that. Get to the stuff. So anyway, so he was buttering him up for a while, child. He was buttering him up for a while. So then, you know, talking about his academic scholar, this, that. And then he started working for him at 23 years old, and he was making $75,000 a year. And he said that he worked 80 to 100 hours a week. And then this is where Brian still gets into the stuff. And he says, do you remember his questions about drugs? And do you remember when they were, you know, referring to you as a drug mule? And he was like, you don't consider yourself a drug mule, do you? He was like, no. And then Brian still was like, fair to say that this was just Diddy's personal use and you weren't out here, you know, kingpinning it. Now I'm giving my own little summary, but that's kind of what it was given. Like, you ain't no kingpin, are you? You know, he didn't say those words, but that's kind of what it was given. And then he was like, no. And so then they wanted to know, what's your understanding of a drug mule? Okay, like these people calling you a drug mule, what do you understand it to be? And he said, to him, a mule is somebody who traffics kilos around the world, and that what he was doing was mere petty little $100, $200 transactions. He wasn't doing nothing nearly as big as no Scarface. He wasn't bringing in kilos. I don't know what y'all thought. And then so Brian still was like, it's fair to say that you wasn't a mule and this was only for Diddy's personal use. And he was like, yes, that's fair to say. So then he said, when did you witness Diddy doing party enhancers? And he said the only time that he physically witnessed Diddy doing these party enhancers was the time that he said he tried it one time. They was trying the 2C and they were in the bathroom of Coachella. And so they were like, did you see him do violence to people? You didn't see him be violent, right? And you didn't see him do these party enhancers either. And so he was like, no, I didn't see him do party enhancers, only the one time. And no, I didn't see him be violent with people, you know, like that. So then they were saying, they started asking him about Jane. They were like, so you set up these wild king nights, aka freak offs with Jane, and when you set them up, did she look like she wasn't happy to be there? Okay, did she look like she wasn't satisfied from tooting that thing up and tooting it back and getting hit with the triple-decker special? Now, he didn't say that, but y'all get my drift. He was basically saying, was this hoe in distress or nah? Or was she happy to be there? And he basically was like, and it was a lot of objections going on at this time. They was like, objection. Every time he would try to ask a question about Jane, it would be objection. And Brian still kept trying to get it out. Was this hoe in distress or not? Now, he didn't call her no hoe, but you know, was this hoe in distress or not? Was she crying? Was she whimpering? Was she acting like she didn't want to be there? Was she acting satisfied? What was it given? All right. And so he said, to his knowledge, Jane looked like she was chilling. She didn't look like she was in distress. She didn't look like she wasn't happy to be there. And she didn't look like she was affected at all, because it looked like she was enjoying herself to him. So they said, you know, he was like, did she ever look like she wasn't a willing participant? And he said, absolutely not. He said, absolutely not. Okay? They wanted to know, did this hoe look like she was participating, or did she not look like she was participating and unwilling? He said, absolutely not. She didn't look like she was having a bad time at all. All right, now I'm adding a little flair to it, but y'all get my drift. So then, when the prosecution was talking to him, they were basically telling him like, well, do you think this is an enterprise? And he said that KK, you know, and Diddy like ran the enterprise. So then Brian had to come back and be like, so when you was telling the prosecution that this was the enterprise, you don't mean like an illegal enterprise. You just mean like this is just an enterprise where they working to get stuff done, but not like an illegal operation, right? He was like, yeah, no, I didn't think that it was an illegal operation. Did you? He said, so when you were handling these King Knights, did you think that there was anything illegal or criminal happening? Would you work for a criminal? He was like, no, I didn't think nothing criminal was happening, and no, I wouldn't work for a criminal. They like, so Brian still was like, right, you know, like you wouldn't be working, like you're so smart of a guy that was in Syracuse, you wouldn't work for a criminal. He was like, no. And then Brian still started buttering him up again, and he said, you care about your reputation and your family and like what your, you know, what your family think. And then he said, that's what's most important to me. So then Brian still was like, the amount that you got caught with was 0.7 grams. He said, that's personal use at best. Okay? He said, child, they over here trying to act like you just really just hit with pounds. You had a little smidge of 0.7 grams that you was caught with. Ain't that correct? He said, yes. And then they said, oh, and then he said, who told you to bring the party enhancers on the plane? He said, didn't nobody tell him to bring the party enhancers on the plane? Then they said, was it, did Diddy tell you to bring those illegal party enhancers on the plane? He said, no. Did KK tell you to bring those illegal party enhancers on the plane? He said, no. And then he said, so you just basically accidentally brought them, right? He was like, yeah. He was like, you didn't know that it was in your bag. You forgot that it was in your bag. And then he was like, yeah, you know, like I didn't mean to bring it. Nobody told me to bring it, you know, like that. So then he started buttering him up again. And then he said, in 2023, you started working on the Love album, and you were so lucky that you were working so hard that you were able to be a part of the album. And then he was like, what album was it? He said, the Love album. And he said that you're a hard worker, and everybody else around you was a hard worker too. He was like, yeah, we all work hard. Like all of us were hard workers. Even Diddy was working hard. I was working hard. Everybody was working hard. So he was saying everybody working hard, like, you know, because they tried to put out there like, you know, he's working, he's being outworked, he's working 80 to 100 hours a week. And basically Brian still was getting him to say all of y'all was working them same hours. Like it wasn't like you were working more than others. Y'all all was working hard. All right. So then he said, then he said, so how is Diddy when he's off these party enhancers or whatever? Like, what type of vibe did it give? And he said that when Diddy was off these party enhancers, that he would be a lot more creative. And Brian still was like, right, he wasn't violent. You didn't see him hurt nobody. And the guy was like, no, no, I didn't see him hurt nobody. He wasn't violent. He was just creative. And he got even more creative and really into his craft when he did these party favors. And then he said, as of today, looking back after everything you've done, do you think that you're indebted to Diddy? And then he was kind of like, huh? Like, what you mean indebted? Like, what that mean? What you mean, do I think I'm indebted to him? I don't know what you're talking about. Then, this part where I was like, okay. So, Brian still said, you received immunity for your testimony, right? He said, yes. So then, because, a part of getting immunity is because you don't want to self-incriminate yourself. So basically, before he testified, he had to invoke the Fifth Amendment, meaning that he is not going to tell the truth or incriminate himself. And therefore, he needs immunity to make sure he's protected. Now, when Brian Steele was cross-examining him, he was like, you're a truthful guy. You tell the truth all the time. He was like, yeah. He said, even without immunity, you were going to tell the truth anyways. And he said, yes. So I'm like, what's tea with that? Because the whole thing about immunity is they give it to you because they want to give you protection to tell the truth and not, incriminate yourself. And Brian Steele was like, even without immunity, you were going to tell the truth, right? He said, of course. All right, so then after that, they went on a sidebar, and they were on sidebar for a while. And then it was time for the prosecution to come and recross. So when the prosecutor got up, she said, do you remember Steele asked you, did you thought anything criminal was happening? And then he said, they were like, so what did you think was going on in the hotel nights? Okay, because, Brian Steele got him to say nothing was criminal. He didn't think nothing was illegal, this, that. So the prosecution was like, do you remember saying that you didn't think nothing criminal was happening? Now, all while she's asking these questions, Brian Steele was objecting like crazy. So he said there was sex happening. And so the prosecutor was basically like, in so many words, she was like, how would you know what was going on in there, whether it was criminal or not? Like, were you there? Were you there? Were you there? He was like, no. She said, when you gave the money and you provided him with the big lump of cash in preparation for his Wild King night, what did you think the money was for? Why did you think he needed that $5,000? He said, oh, it was an objection. So then they went to, you set up the supplies for King nights, right? They said yes. And then they said, they asked him about what he did to supply it. So then they asked him again, while the King night was going on and Diddy needed something, who would he reach out to? And he said that they would reach out to the assistants. And then after he was done cleaning up the hotel room, he said that he would leave his own personal money to give the hotel workers a tip. And he would take that out of his own pockets to give the workers a tip for cleaning up the hotel rooms. And then they said, why did you think he needed $5,000 for a King night? So she circled back to that again, and they said objection, the objection was sustained. All right, bye. And then they said, was there any other time that you provided him with similar amounts of cash in any other context? And he said, I don't remember. So they wanted to know, well, how many times did you purchase the illegal party enhancements? And he said, less than 10, but more than 5 times he purchased illegal party enhancers for Diddy. And then she did a mic drop at the end because Brian still was trying to act like, oh, this was nothing criminal. This was just personal use. This wasn't a big deal. This wasn't, something like that. Oh, so then he was like, why did you stop working for Diddy again? Because again, mind you, he was saying that he stopped, there was nothing criminal going on. There was nothing da-da-da. So the prosecution said, can you remind the jury on how your employment ended with Mr. Combs? He said, I was arrested. So, that was basically her saying, child, get up out of here with that. Wasn't nothing criminal going on. Why were you arrested then? Oh, okay, I thought so. She said, how did your employment end with Mr. Combs? I was arrested. And then she said, how do you feel about Combs? And he said, it's complicated. So then the next witness was a guy by the name of Joseph Cercilio. He is a special agent with Homeland Security. He has been working with Homeland Security for 18 and a half years. He was assigned to the JTTF in 2010, and his job is to investigate, acts of terror and things like that. But they hired him in this case just to go over charts and text messages and make sure that the text messages that they have in evidence match the charts that they are submitting to the jury. All right? So then they wanted to know, what type of records were you asked to review? And he said he was asked to review bank records, text messages, flight records, financial records, and each set of records was in the thousands. So he had to look over thousands of financial records, thousands of text messages, thousands of, flight records, and so on. So he had to make sure that the charts that they compiled of all of the evidence was complete and accurate. All right? So then they started to go over the flights. So they went over Jane, her flights, and like when she would fly from LA to here, to there. They went over the flight records. Like they would go over her flight records, and then they would go over whichever escort was basically transported into town. Then they would go over their flight records. So it would be her flight records, Diddy flight records, then the escort flight records. And then after they showed their flight records, then they would show the hotel records, what name the hotel was booked under. Was there any damages? How much were the damages? And they did that like on a sequence of a lot. Then they started showing text messages that Cassie was sending to Diddy. When she got fed up, she was like, I'm tired of you dragging me by my hair. I'm tired of you treating me like a hooker. You over here always want to treat me like a hooker and get these hookers when you got a hooker at home. Basically like, you could get your ish off with me, but you want to fly in hookers and use me for that. I'm tired of that. So it showed a text exchange of him and Cassie going back and forth. And he basically told Cassie, he said, I done whacked my wanky for 10 hours straight, and I still can't get my fluids up out of here. And you over here playing games with an attitude, and I'm trying to get this fluid up out of me, and I've been whacking the willy for 10 hours, and you want to come to me with this selfish stuff with your little attitude, and you want to talk about how I done put, because she said you done hit me upside the head 2 times. You done dragged me by my hair. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of you putting your hands on me. And she's saying all that, and he like, girl, I ain't trying to hear all that. I'm trying to get this fluid up out of this wanky. And you're not helping with that right now. And you're selfish because you're not considering this situation that I have. And how dare you come to me about getting bopped upside the head when it's been 10 hours of whacking and ain't no fluids came out. You think I care about you talking about your head that got bopped upside and dragged and all that, and I'm in this peculiar situation that ain't come to an end? Girl, bye with all that. So that's basically the messages that they were showing, like, get up out of here with all of that whining and either get to business or get to stepping. Are you done? Are you done? Are you actually leaving me, or are you cool? You gonna get to this action, or are you just gonna cry about it? What are we doing? Because it's been 10 hours of whacking and ain't no satisfaction. So, you know, they was showing all of those messages going back and forth, and she's like, I've been here for 10 years. I've been a hooker for 10 years, and you know, all of this stuff like that. So they was showing all of those, all of the financial records, all of the hotels that was booked, all of the damage to the hotels, all of the text messages of Cassie saying she was fed up of getting beat up, and oh, all of the payments to the escorts. So they were like, oh, this was a Cash App, or this was a payment to Cowboys for Angel. This was a payment to this escort. So they were showing a flight, how much was paid for the flight, and how much was paid to the escort website, and where the location was. So as it pertains to him flying in people and trafficking and paying for all of that, they had all of the correspondence of that, where they were basically showing, this is a flight, this is how much the flight was, this is how much a deposit was made to the escort website, and then they were naming which escort was getting paid and flew in, and who the payment was for, and things like that. So then they were showing more damages and more text messages, and that was pretty much the day. All right. That was pretty much the day. I got tired of jotting down 1,000 damages for this hotel, $800 for this hotel. I got tired of jotting it down. Just know it was a lot of damage, a lot of freak off, a lot of baby oil, a lot of flying out, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of this, a lot of that. But make sure y'all hit the like button. I'm out here in New York giving y'all the scoop, okay? Giving y'all the tea, the scoop. It is a warm day out here, and I wanted to make sure before, because after I leave here, child, ain't no telling where the day gonna take me. So I wanted to make sure I got all of the scoop. What you think about it?
Come over here.
Oh, please. He don't want to be on camera. We ain't fooling with him.
What do you think?
Okay. It's given. Right. Yeah. So make sure y'all hit the like button. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and tell your friend to tell a friend that I'm gonna be here all next week giving y'all the scoop as well. So put your notifications on if you want to get the details of the goings-ons that's going on. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Make sure y'all hit the like button and look at the pinned comment, because y'all know I live for a $1, $2, $3 holla. Okay, $10, $20, $30 make me really holla. All right, no. But all right, bye y'all. I gotta go get me some food and all of that.